Hello, good morning. Today, within the framework of the PICO project, we have the privilege of hearing from Dr. Wanda Diaz Merced, an extraordinary astrophysicist, a scientist who literally listens to the stars. Wanda graduated in physics, held a PhD in computer science from University of Glasgow. After obtaining her PhD, Wanda held positions at Harvard, the South African observatories, and several other prestigious universities and research centers. Wanda was also a colleague of mine at the European Gravitational Observatory, and she's a dear friend, so I'm particularly thrilled to introduce her to the PICO audience today. Wanda, good morning, buenos dias.
Good morning, buongiorno, Francesca.
Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks to you for this kind invitation. I'm, as you said, the word thrilled. I'm actually thrilled and very, very, very moved. I feel like being there with you in Italy. It's a very cherished place, very close to my heart. And I cannot tell you how much it means. I mean, I cannot describe fully in words how much it means to participate in this meeting. Thank you so much for this kind invitation.
Thank you, Wanda. Today's talk is part of a series dedicated to successful female scientists. Our goal is to promote role models for young girls who aspire to become scientists. So, Wanda, my first question for you is, did you have any role models growing up who made you believe you could be a scientist?
Yes, I had role models. Not only as growing up, but also as an adult, right? I had many role models that became my mentors in life, from my grannies, who were my role models as fighting women, fighting for their children. My teachers were great role models in my life, as well as mentors later when I decided to, my mom, my dad, but also my mentors when I decided to follow a career. Dr. Isaac Wiqueda, who was my biggest role model, but also Dr. Brickhouse and mentors like Dr. Stavros Katsanevas, who inspired me not only not to give up, but also to motivate others to never give up. The example of mentors in my life has been very, very, very important, because not only motivated me not to give up, but also motivated me to leave no one behind in my career. Forgive me. I talk a lot,
This is very
Francesca.
important. No, this is very important. Thank you. And can you maybe remember the moment that made you fall in love with science? What did it feel like?
The moment when I decided to continue in science, was the moment when I felt a sense of possibility in my life. When I felt a sense of possibility, there is the moment when I believed that I could also do this, that there is nothing impossible, that I'm perfect just as I am, and I can perform the science or better science just as I am. That moment was crucial in my life, because I believed completely in the potential of my life, in the potential to perform science, and not only to perform science, but to perform better science, just as I am.
And who or what maybe helped spark your interest in physics and astronomy?
Who or what? My interest in physics and science, it rised, it emerged. Well, no, I was always interested in science, but the interest in physics and astrophysics and cosmology, it emerged from the sense of possibility, from knowing that I could explore the information and I will repeat it, just as I am, that I didn't have to turn into what I thought that institutional mindsets would expect me to be, that I could be Wanda. I could be Wanda Diaz Merced, and I could use my talents just as I am to perform the science. When I became secure of that, and let me tell you, I was in that mindset. I was in that institutional mindset. But when I realized that Wanda doesn't have to change or turn into something that I thought I would expect it to be, the sense of possibility increased infinitely.
Mm.
Not only infinitely, yes, the sense of possibility of Wanda being able to perform the science and not being expected to change who she is or what she is or how she performs in order to be part of that mainstream part of the science, that was critical. That was very important to me, and it has always been important to me. So that is what made a huge difference in Wanda. Forgive me, Francesca.
No, this is a very powerful message. Maybe, Wanda, can you tell us about some of the biggest challenges you faced as a woman pursuing a career in physics, and maybe how you managed to overcome them?
The biggest challenge I faced while pursuing a career in physics, I mean the challenges for a person with disabilities and the challenges for a person with no disabilities are somehow different, right?
Yeah.
And I do not want my answer to discourage, right, people, because without challenges, shall I call it challenges? Without obstacles, I would call it obstacles. It's not possible to move forward in life. Everyone, all peoples,
Right.
face challenges. So I want to leave that clear. As a person with disabilities, especially in front of peoples that that may perhaps perceive that we do not face any challenges in that and that we are how do I say this? I want to be encouraging, right? I want to be able to encourage people not to lose track of
Okay, we had a small technical issue. Wanda, you were telling us about how you faced some of the biggest challenge as a woman pursuing a career in science. Would you like to continue?
Yes, indeed. In my case, right, I did focus on not giving up. It was very important to me. It became very important to Wanda. I dealt with Wanda do not focus on what others say or what others may be thinking about you or their perception about you. Always remember what the philosopher Nichiren Daishonin used to say. Always know that all people face obstacles, and sometimes be a little bit tough in your thinking.
Mhm.
And being tough, meaning, Wanda, to be praised by fools is the greatest shame. You need to believe in yourself and in your talent, and do not give up. So I had to face, for example, that I would be in meetings where I would feel a sense of isolation, even invisibility. And I would face that just dealing with my own thinking, just telling Wanda, you are right now on a stage of life where when if you give up, it may be it may it may be it may be it may be disastrous if you give up right now. So you need to think that just as you are, you will be able to make it. So I had to deal with situations in which I wouldn't understand some of the words that were expressed by some of collaborators, because I had never been exposed to those words or have the technology to anchor those words in my life, or to conceptualize or culturalize those words or the knowledge. But at the same time, I also knew that to exceptionality is not achieved overnight, that it requires a lot of work, that it requires a lot of dialogue, and it also requires um, to foster relationships of mentor and mentee that are healthy and of trust in my life. So I decided to never give up, to follow mentors that were enriching my life based on all the efforts that I had to pursue, and that would not disbelieve or would not untrust the efforts that I was pursuing and making. I just decided that to give up was not an option, and that I had to win. Every morning when I wake up, it's a decision that I make, that at every second, my scenario changes. And that scenario being new is a stage where I have to make a difference for my life and for the life of the peoples that may be deciding to give up.
Yeah, that's true. We know, Vanda, that you are a passionate advocate for accessibility in science. And what would you change about the way science is taught in schools to make it more inclusive and exciting for girls?
There are three things that I would address or that I would change. These three things are how the way of competition is being carried. I would make the competition more humanistic, or completely humanistic. Another thing that I would change or address is the way that that we are is the way in which we are evaluated in terms of in terms of productivity, I would completely address that. And I also would address um, how people's with other performance styles, not how people with other performance styles are perceived, but I would change the way that we peoples are. How do I say this? I apologize, Francesca. I would address the way in which we peoples with disabilities, the way in which the way in which we peoples or stakeholders, sometimes I would ensure that that transitions are secured in a way that peoples will not evaluate possibilities based on what they think is possible versus what they think is impossible, or based on they conceiving or perceiving, they would perceive, I want to say this correctly because I don't want to sound negative, but in many instances, yes, I don't want to sound negative. I want to sound very, very, very positive. But sometimes we are perceived based on their what people feel is possible, what stakeholders believe we may do, and how we may do things. And they do not allow us to use our available senses, our available human senses to perform. And based on those biases, right, for us to progress, it may become more difficult than for anyone without disabilities instilling in the career ways of isolation, ways of us not being able to progress and do transitions and contribute to the science. People do not have to go to science. The science has to go to people.
Yeah.
And science has to allow people to perform as they are.
Yeah, that's true.
Not as we think it is effective for them to perform. So those things, I would address them first from the position, and forgive me, my dear friend, I'm talking like that. So I will not move from education and outreach. I would move from institutional mindset, from stakeholders' mindset, from the practices in the mainstream. I would move from that position to education and people and outreach. Because if it has an effect on the mainstream, then education and people outreach will change as a result of how the mindset in the mainstream sciences, in the leadership, is changing. And forgive me, I say it this way, and that's why I continue collaborating with Science in Braille, which symbolically Princess Nisreen El Hashemite called it Science in Braille, and placed Braille in there as a symbol of other ways of performing better science, more significant science, and also humanistic science. Forgive me.
Yeah, thanks, Wanda. It's true that as a teenager you were fascinated by science and dreamed of becoming a doctor.
Yes, yes, indeed. I wanted to become a medical doctor. And then the sense of possibility that instilled in me the fact that I could use audio
Yeah.
or sound in order to study the science made me fall in love with the science. And also the fact that we evidence that by using audio, you would be able to find the things that otherwise would be blind to the human eye, and even to the methods that are being explored by using artificial intelligence.
Mm-hmm.
It brought a sense of possibility and humanism to
Mm-hmm.
to me and to the science that are worth exploring and
Yeah.
exploiting for the sake of science, for the sake of talent that science unwittingly left out, and metrics of productivity left out, but also for the sake of human development.
Yeah.
Forgive me.
Yeah.
I
So
apologize. I talk a lot.
no,
But yeah,
thanks. So if you could go back and give your teenage self one piece of advice, what would it be?
to myself, a
Yeah.
piece of a piece of advice.
Yeah. Your
I would
teenage self.
my young self. Wow, that's a very good question, Francesca. I would tell myself, Wanda, eh, everyone faces challenges, and I think I mentioned this earlier in our in our in our conversation. Everyone faces uh, faces challenges, and the 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 only thing that you have to do is to decide if you want to continue on or not.
Hmm.
And always at every stage of life, um, uh, at each second of life, um, you have to decide if you want to go on or not, if you want to win or not. And the only way you win is by not giving up.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
just do not give up, Wanda. Um, Exceptionality is not achieved overnight. Times have changed, and exceptionality and winning is only achieved by Wanda not giving up. So I will tell my younger self, do not dare
This
to
is
give
a
up.
very good piece of advice, Wanda. So,
It's not
Wanda,
easy.
before we say goodbye, I have one last question I'd like to ask you.
Yeah.
And is, in your opinion, what are some of the big questions in physics or in science in general that the next generation of girls might help to solve in the future?
I will ask them, I will tell them, I will challenge them to I will challenge them to to go beyond what is available to their senses. To go beyond, there are questions in mathematics and physics, in cosmology, that has been theoretically, for example, the existence of multiple dimensions. But what it is, what structure those dimensions have in terms of gathering observations that are not available to the senses that science classify as effective, gathering what politically we classify as or call observations, I will challenge this younger generation to answer with observations that are not available to the senses, to the common senses that science classify or think are effective for science. I would challenge them to do that. And they are on the stage to do this, to do it. Because now, at my time, the support did not exist. But now there is support. PICO is working, so they can do it. So I would challenge them to use more than is available to those human senses or visual senses, to go beyond that, to find answers to those big questions. Forgive me.
Thanks. Thank you so much, Wanda, for joining us today and for sharing your inspiring story, especially with the young girls who dream of becoming scientists. It has been a real pleasure to have you with the PICO community, and we really hope to talk with you again soon.